Cheat Code Support Strategist by myheadinthecoudsnotcomingdown. Read by Rat Overlord. Chapter 71. Spotted. Summary. Well, if it isn't the consequences of past actions. May had picked the lock on one of the supply closets to give them some privacy while Isuku hacked his way into the camera system. It had taken a little finagling to do it, but Netsu had been teaching him a lot of cool tricks, so it didn't take him long to figure out how to connect to the camera system and get all the access he wanted. It was so much easier than hacking UA.
So, if I were a pair of hero students, where would I be?
Their class was coming here to buy stuff for their camp, right?
May asked.
So maybe the sporty thing center.
I don't think that's what it's called, but I'll try it.
Isuku said, flipping through the camera feeds.
Nope. There's Oshiro and Shoto, but not who we're looking for. Where else would they be? Maybe we should just start from the main plaza and go from there?
He started looking around the plaza, just scanning until he saw something promising.
Is that them? Right there by the fountain?
Yeah!
May leaned closer to the screen.
Aw, Ochako's blushing! How cute!
Isuku caught sight of something behind them and narrowed his eyes. It was just some guy in a black hoodie, but for some reason it was setting off alarm bells in Isuku's head.
Hey, Mei-chan, does that guy look familiar to you?
He zoomed in on the hoodie guy, and May frowned.
Kinda? His posture is pretty unique, but it's hard to tell without being able to see his face. Can you get me a different angle?
Sure.
Isuku panned through different cameras until he found one with a good angle and zoomed in. Before he could even process what he'd seen, he was already scrambling backwards, knocking over a broom in his attempt to get as far away from that screen as possible. After a long moment of staring at the screen, he shot a panicked look over to May, who was just as terrified as he was.
It's the League! They're here!
Hitoshi panicked and dropped his control.
I'm so sorry. I should have picked a different question. I didn't even think it would actually work. I can...
It's fine. Ochako was bright red and looked like she was about to cry, which made Hitoshi feel even worse.
I guess, lesson learned? Create a list of questions beforehand, right?
Yeah.
Hitoshi swallowed.
I'm so sorry.
It was an accident!
Ochako squeaked.
We can just drop it. I know you probably don't feel the same way.
Oh, no, I do. It's just...
Hitoshi froze, eyes going wide.
I did not mean to... Okay, that just happened. Pretty sure I just made this even more awkward. Don't you usually disappear by this point in the conversation?
When I teleport by accident, it's because I'm thinking of the person.
Ochako buried her face in her hands.
That's kind of hard when the person you're thinking of is right in front of you.
Oh.
Hitoshi nodded numbly.
Yeah, so basically we're just a mess.
Ochako gave him a pained smile.
Yep, I'm pretty sure.
Isuku couldn't think. He wasn't even really seeing the screen, much less the supply closet around him. All he could see was Shigaraki disintegrating a guy to dust right in front of him, just because Isuku had been meddling in things that he wasn't supposed to and messing up his plans. They couldn't let that happen again. Isuku's mouth was dry as he tried to think of what to do next.
We need to get everyone out.
Right!
May nodded in determination.
We don't know when the rest of their forces will show up, and we can't risk cutting off the exits and repeating the USJ attack.
Okay, can we contact the students? What about the police?
Isuku muttered, his brain spinning with so many ideas and possibilities, but he still couldn't think. There was no way he'd be able to decide on a course of action.
How can we get everyone out safely?
Thankfully, while he was frozen, May jumped into action. She threw open the door, running out into the hall before he could yell at her to stop. Isuku didn't realize what she was planning until she made a beeline for the fire alarm outside and pulled it as hard as she could.
Done! Now, let's inform Netsu and get someplace safe.
She ran back to him and yanked him to his feet, and Isuku barely had time to hug his computer against his chest before he was being dragged down the hall.
Okay, yep, that works.
Ochako and Hitoshi both jumped when the fire alarm went off. Ochako looked around, but couldn't see any smoke.
What's going on?
Hitoshi frowned.
I don't know, but Isuku and Mei probably do. If not, they can probably find out.
Right!
Ochako's face hardened in determination as she called up her quirk.
I'll be back!
The world tilted, and she ran to catch up to Isuku and Mei, who were running down an alley just outside the mall.
Do you guys know what's going on? Why are you out here instead of inside?
Isuku shot her a glance, but he had a phone held up to his ear and stayed focused on his call as Mei filled her in.
We caught sight of Shigaraki on the security cameras. Izuku's on the phone with Nedzu right now to get heroes on the way in case it turns into a full-scale attack.
Ochako gulped. So it's not just a fire drill?
No,
Mei replied gravely.
Not just a fire drill.
Isuku hung up the phone and turned to Ochako.
You've got anchors on everyone in the class, right?
Yeah, I do.
Ochako said.
You want me to let everyone know?
Isuku took a deep breath.
Yes, tell everyone that Netsu's authorizing us to help with evacuation, but not combat. If you see Shigaraki or any other villains, just run. Got it?
Got it!
Ochako confirmed. Isuku's face went grim.
Good luck.
Shoto didn't really need to buy anything for the camping trip, since he'd basically been living a camping trip since his old man had kicked him out, and his quirk took the place of a lot of camping essentials like sleeping bags, flashlights, and matches. Still, he didn't have anything better to do, so he figured he might as well tag along. It was nice having a little disposable income again, but now that he'd been living off of practically nothing, it was a lot harder to justify spending any of it. After everyone had split off, he'd found himself in a store that Shigaraki would either love or think was absolutely ridiculous, considering that it only sold merchandise for games and TV shows and nothing really useful. But Shoto thought it was entertaining to see how much he recognized from the various games Shigaraki had introduced him to. When the fire alarm had gone off, he'd been looking at a section of nerdy pet collars that would have been great if Epper was an inside cat, or, well, if Shoto actually had an inside to put her in. He hadn't really been too concerned about the alarm at first. If it was a drill, then that was just fine. And if not, then he was immune to heat and he could always just use his ice to put out the fire if he needed to. He'd been content to follow along at the tail end of the evacuation crowd until Uraraka had suddenly appeared right in front of him and immediately started talking.
Shigaraki is here in the mall. The heroes are already on their way. We've been authorized to help with evacuation until they arrive, but not combat. Got it?
Shoto kept his face carefully blank as he nodded.
Yes, I understand.
As soon as Uraraka disappeared, Shoto immediately jumped into action and started running towards the nearest video game store.
Dusty, you idiot. Where in the hell are you?
Hitoshi wasn't too surprised to get a call from his kidnappers after Ochako didn't come back, so he answered right away.
What do you need me to do?
Add Izuku into your classroom group chat thingy.
Mei rushed out.
Put him under the name of cheat code so everybody knows to trust him, alright?
Right.
Hitoshi wasn't even finished responding before Mei hung up. Hitoshi knew that Isuku was probably busy trying to coordinate with the heroes, but he still added Isuku to the group chat as quickly as possible, making sure to change his name to cheat code first so that that's what he would show up under. He sent a quick text to both Isuku and Mei, letting them know that he was done and hurried to join the evacuation. So much for a relaxing class trip to the mall. Howdy y'all. Hope you enjoyed. And if you did, feel free to leave a like or comment down below, because I always love hearing from you guys. And make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with whenever I post. And here's your second daily reminder to go drink some water, because you're so dehydrated right now, I can just tell. And also, to remember to leave your questions down below for my upcoming Q&A video. Adios, y'all.